Hello, thank you for tuning in to CCI in Action. My name is Cole Scher, and I'm here with.
Robert Mack.
And today on CCI in Action, we're going to be talking about how technology contributes to your mental health. So, Mr. Mack, I wanted to ask you just to start off here. How do you feel technology contributes to mental health? Do you think it's positive or negative overall?
I think overall it's a negative. I think that through social media, it feeds into a lot of people's vanity. When you look at the for this generation, a lot of people have made their fortunes on being just fame, just getting fame just through social media, and kids are seeing that, and then they want that for themselves. And as the way the social media market has sort of transformed, the more negative you are or your content tends to be, the more eyeballs you tend to get. Just recently, I think it was yesterday, I was on Twitter, and there's a YouTuber by the name of Logan Paul who was on Fox Business Network when he was making a fool of himself. Now you think, well, that's the end of his career. Well, not at all. So some people think it's hilarious, and they'll only just extend his fame and such for just that much longer. And so kids watch him and they emulate that sort of behavior.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there, especially today. It seems a lot of people do like using social media for negative things, whether it's trolling others or
Hmm.
trying to become the next
PewDiePie,
superstar.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but
And then there's like not necessarily just overall in health. There's like people will Google up their health, like they get sick and they look up WebMD. And the problem is, so many diseases have overlapping symptoms, and so they give themselves the wrong physical or mental prognosis, and they end up causing more harm than help.
yep, the false diagnosis is quite terrible. But anyways, technology could also be good. There are some ways that we can use it to help our mental health. I'm certain you've heard of apps. For example, you've probably seen ads for Headspace. Who hasn't? The meditation app.
Right?
There's also,
That's horoscopes.
yeah, but
I mean,
besides just
because I
horse.
mean, some people may wake up in the morning and they may be feeling groggy, and they may pull up the horoscope app and it may tell them something positive, and it just becomes self fulfilling. It tells them they want to have a good day, and then they go outside, go out the day with a positive outlook, and have a great day.
And that sort of actually goes into the false diagnosis because you
Yeah.
believe it either can become better or worse.
Right.
But anyways, thing is with technology nowadays, we have access to so much more than we did before. Like if we need help, if we need counseling, if we need to go talk to somebody, we have it in our pockets.
Right.
We can get into contact with someone. We don't have to wallow on our own. We don't have to be alone.
Right. But I think that
And we never
depends.
should have to be alone.
I think that depends on your inbuilt networks. Like if you have communicate with your family members online, then in that case, technology is going to be a boon, because in this case, you can just talk to them at any time through technology and lay out your problems, as opposed to you don't have any family members online to communicate with, and you're communicating with a relatively stranger, and with being anonymous, they say whatever they want to say regardless of where you may be at that point in time.
So, sort of feeding off what you just said about it has to do with your little social network or your network of people that you
Right.
know in your waking life. Is there a fear of anonymity? Like, this person, I don't know them, they might do something wrong because of that? Do you think that contributes into the fact that people don't want to seek help from others online?
I think that people sort of put themselves into the anonymous person. And so if that anonymous person says something positive to them, then they feel good. But if that anonymous person says something bad, then they'll tend to act as if it's them saying they're judging themselves. And so I think that sort of like with e-bullying and all the other stuff, I think that's how that ends up. making things worse because from a certain standpoint they think they're sort of bullying them in a way bullying themselves because it's just a random name and people need some sort of familiarization to sort of cope with. They're just speaking to a random whatever passerby.
Yeah, so there's the lack of empathy.
Right.
Like, I don't know this person, they can't possibly know what's going on in
Right.
my life.
Because the
Something
best
like
you can do is type in lowercase and uppercase, and then of course uppercase is screaming. But when you talk to someone and let's just say you have a random conversation about some subject, and then they basically from an internet standpoint calmly break you down, just like whoa, you know.
yeah. Going back a little bit to something you mentioned before, the false diagnosis.
Hmm.
And like when people are looking up, oh, I'm sick, I'm injured, what could it possibly be? Here's
Hmm.
WebMD. I have a slight cough. Congrats, you have terminal cancer.
Right.
Do you think when it comes to like mental health that could also happen? Like,
Oh yeah.
oh, I'm having a bad day. I must therefore have
Well,
depression.
not necessarily that. Something like you ever heard of someone called Shane Dawson or something like that? He's a
I have
YouTuber.
not.
Well, he's been making these sort of conspiracy videos, and I guess that's how he maintains his fame and all that stuff. And one of the things he did was he was trying to characterize another famous YouTuber as being sort of a sociopath, and so people were getting their base knowledge about sociopathic behavior off of someone that does not even practice or have any sort of academic training in the field, and so kids are thinking, hey, this must mean that I'm sociopathic, or this person must be sociopathic, and so people are walking around because of these famous these relatively famous figures with a false idea of what it means to have this sort of mindset or mental condition. So I think it's less so much people googling up WebMD and other sources and getting false. I think it goes back into the core of it being the famous figures sort of just spreading false information, and then of course that spreads, and a lot of kids watch these figures, and then they grow up thinking this stuff, and it's wrong.
Yeah, so the big problem here is the idolation of these figures
Right.
and the fact that we're putting all of our
And there's
faith and
nothing
trust.
wrong with on its face wrong with celebrityism. I think there's people just need to just sort of realize that there are limits to that person just because they have a million people watching them monthly or whatever the number is doesn't mean that they're infallible.
Yeah, we have to start putting our faith and trust in where the actual research and
Right.
knowledge and actually have our sources checked.
Right.
But
If you want to know if you have a mental condition, go to a professional. Don't go on YouTube. Don't go on Twitter. Don't go on Facebook to go get a prognosis, unless it's with an actual doctor, and then that's a whole nother discussion because I know some doctors are doing like using online resources or communication tools to sort of to connect with patients who may be far and away. So that's a positive way people are using technology. I noticed that they're sort of doing like online consultation, live stream consultations with their patients.
yes, technology isn't all hopeless when it
It's not
comes to
hopeless.
mental health.
I know
But
one example. This may not be mental health, but I remember there was a game system called 3DS, and I remember there was an article years ago about how doctors were using that 3DS to determine if the children had sort of an eye issue, because not everybody can detect or see the 3D effect. So it's been a useful measure of, okay, I can see if there's something going on with this child's eyesight. So that's a positive use of just technology in general, even though the entire point of the system is just to play a game and have fun. But it's to show that technology can also be used to help.
now I want to ask you, in your honest opinion, do you think if we were to try to integrate technology into promoting positive mental health, do you think that's like a good thing that we can pursue, we can do, or do you think that we've reached the point where it's so commonly used for negative things?
I
For
think it's in its infancy, in my opinion. So I think that more. always advocate for new methods to help people. I mean, it just happens to be because the way the internet has sort of evolved in its own way that it's very celebrity focused, but I'm always open to ways that technology, in particular, the internet, can be used to actually help people. I mean, think about it. TV. That's like 99% that's celebrity focused, but you still got those medical shows that still get the word out. So it's it could be another tool in the trade.
Yeah, it really does end up being how we use it. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones who are going to determine, are we actually finding the information we need,
Right.
getting the right sources, and doing what we have to, or are we using this for our vanity, for idolization, and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. Anyways, I do want to thank you for coming today, Mr. Mack.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yep. And we will see you next time on CCI in Action.
Bye bye.